Okay, we are moving on to 4.4. And what we're going to be able to do, notice my notes are formatted a little differently. They're not at the actual Cornell notes because I don't have room. I need these big graphs and I need a big table. So there's no room for traditional Cornell notes. Your learning target, however, you are going to be given an equation, a linear equation today. You're going to be given an equation of a line and you're going to have to graph it. That's what you can do today. So, here's the steps. The first thing you do is make a table. I have them all made for you. But sometimes they're not made for you and you have to make them yourself. The second thing that you do, make x go from -3 to +3. You want some negatives and you want some positives. Do you have notes? Okay, write that. And then you find your y and you plot the point. Okay? So, what you're going to do, make a table already given to you. Make x go from -3 to +3. And then plot your point. Sometimes you can make x go from -2 to +2. You're going to find that this is actually very tedious, meaning it takes a long time. Because you have to find, 6 different y values by using this equation. Okay, so first one we're going to plot. I like to write my equation in the middle because that tells me how I'm finding my y. And then my x goes from -3 to +3. That's actually 7. 7 different calculations you have to do. It's a lot. It is a lot. But that's okay. Once you start getting in the zone, it goes pretty fast. But just trust that it's going to take a little bit tonight. Okay, so when x is -3, we need to find out what our y is. Because remember, every point has an x and a y. So I have to find my y. So my -3 goes right where the x is. This is -2 times -3 minus 4. +6, right? -2 times -3 is a +6 minus 4, which is 2. That's my y. Because y equals whatever that expression is. So my point is -3, 2. Okay? You can either plot it right away or plot them all at the end. I don't care what you do. We'll plot it at the end. The next one, -2. When x is -2, what's my y? So you put the -2 where the x is. This is going right where the x is. -2 times -2 minus 4, which is 4 minus 4, which is 0. That's my y. So my x was -2, and my y was 0. Okay, now I put -1 in. See how it's tedious? But you will, I promise you, you will just kind of get into the zone of calculating all this. It just takes a little bit of time. -2 times -1 minus 4. So that would be +2 minus 4, which is -2. So my next point is -1, -2. 0 is the best. 0 is the best one. -2 times 0, minus 4. 0 minus 4, -4. 0, -4. Wow. Okay, next one, 1. We'll go right here. -2 times 1, minus 4. Which is -2 minus 4. Which is -6, isn't it? Sure is. So it's 1, -6. And the next one is 2. So you put 2 where the x is. -2 times 2 minus 4. -4 minus 4, -8. So I have the point 2 comma negative 8. And the last one, goodness, the 3 goes there. Negative 2 times 3 minus 4. Negative 6 minus 4. Negative 10. Okay, see how this kind of takes a while? So now you got to plot it. So you got to plot all these points, and then you will connect it and turn it into a pretty line. So my x is negative 3, y is 2. X is negative 3, y 2. That's that point right there. Negative 2, 0 is my next point. So x is negative 2, y is 0. That's right there. Okay, next one, negative 1, negative 2. X is negative 1, y is negative 2. And it should be going in a line. If it's not going in a line, you did something wrong. So today when you're checking your work, if it's not going in a line, then you mess something up. So be careful for that. Okay, 0, negative 4. 1, 2, 3, negative 4. See how it still looks linear? 1, negative 6. 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 5 and 6. Should be seeing a pattern as you're graphing too here. 2, negative 8.
Going down 2 over 1.
Yeah, ooh, that's good. That's getting you ready for next unit, slope. 3, negative 10. And see, it looks like a beautiful line. Now you connect them to the best of your ability and extend it with arrows. You have to. It's not a segment. This is actually a line. So a line has arrows. Okay. A line goes on for infinity. If you don't include the arrow, you say it stops, and the line never stops. All right, here we go. Next one. Same process. I'm going to say you can be nice to yourself if you want to take 2 of the calculations away. And you could go from negative 2 to positive 2 if you don't want to do negative 3 to positive 3. But you have to have a little bit of negatives and you have to have a little bit of positives. And you must include 0. So you kind of have to. And then our equation is negative x plus 3. So then you start plugging in. You put the negative 2 in there, so this is negative a negative 2 plus 3. What's negative a negative?
Plus.
It's positive, right? It's plus, plus, or positive. So this is 2 plus 3, 5. So my point is negative 2, 5. And I'm just going to pause this and fill the rest of the table out. Okay, so we went ahead and we filled out that last one and plotted the points. Now, the next one, I didn't include a fraction one, so just make sure that you cross out what I gave you and put a fraction coefficient there. There's an interesting fact in regards to fractions, especially when there's a 1 on top. When I say what's half of 6, what are you going to tell me? What's half of 6? 3. What's half of 10? 5. What's half of 8? 4. So what are you really doing? I'm dividing by what? 2. When I have a 1 in front and you times it by a number, you're really just dividing it by that other number. So if I had, for example, 1/8 of 8, it's really 8 divided by 8. It's going to be 1. If I have what's an eighth of 24? It's really 24 divided by 8, which is 3. Anytime you have a 1 on top, it's just dividing. So if I have a 4, what's a fourth of 8? 2. It's 8 divided by 4. It's 2. What's a fourth of 16? 4. So what's really happening is you're dividing by the denominator. So anytime you have a fraction, you're dividing by the denominator. So what you want to do when you pick values, make the values divisible by that denominator. So what I'm going to do, what numbers are divisible by 3?
3, 6, 9.
3, 6, 9. So I need some negatives, so I'm gonna say -9, -6, actually that's too much. I'm gonna start with -6. -6, -3, 0, 3, 6. Okay, and let me repeat. I chose those because they are divisible by 3. So it's going to make it where it's going to turn into a whole number. I don't have to deal with fractions. Okay, so anytime you have a fraction, anytime you have a fraction, make sure you pick numbers that are divisible by the denominator. So I have 1/3 x plus 4. So 1/3 times -6 plus 4. Okay, here we go. What's -6 divided by 3? -2. So this is -2 plus 4, which is 2. So I have the point -6, 2. One-third times -3 plus 4. -3 divided by 3 is -1 plus 4, which is 3. So I have -3, 3. One-third of 0 plus 4 is 0 plus 4, which is 4. You should be noticing the pattern now. A third of 3 plus 4 is 1. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Remember, a third just means divide by 3. So this would be 1 plus 4, which is 5. And then a third of 6 plus 4. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 2 plus 4, which is 6. Okay, and then I plus. So again, the difference with fractions, all that changes with the fraction is the numbers you pick. You want to be nice to yourself, because if you weren't nice to yourself, you'd have fraction answers, and you don't want to do that. Okay, so -6, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. -3, 3. 0, 4. 3, 5. 6, 6. Definitely looks linear, so I know I did all of the math right. If all of a sudden you got a big dip, then you did not do your math right. You messed up one of the values, so that's how you can check. And then you make a pretty line, and you have to include your arrows. You have to show that it's a line. Okay, so the next learning target is horizontal and vertical lines. A horizontal and vertical lines, that means horizontal, vertical. That's what that means. You see it a lot as 8th graders. If you have x equals something, that's a vertical line. If you have y equals something, that's a horizontal line. Kids mess that up a lot because they think y is the tall axis, so y should be tall. Nope, not if it's a y equals. Y equal is a horizontal. So, for example, I want to graph x equals 3 and y equals -4. Well, x is a tall line. So I'm going to do a tall line when x is 3. 1, 2, 3. There it is. Mine is aligned weird, but that's my line. X equals 3. It's a tall line. And y is -4. Well, the y equals is a horizontal line. So I'm going to go where y is -4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to make a horizontal line. And that's y equals -4. Because y is -4 all across that line. -4, -4, -4, -4. Y is always -4. X is always 3. X is 3 here, X is 3, X is 3, X is 3 all along that vertical line. X is negative